Welcome in, y'all. Timeshare Clarence. It's June 12th, 2024. And today I want to talk about crisis mode. So this morning I pulled my hamstring, and when I did it, I started thinking about how it could have been avoided. I've been saying, if anybody been watching these videos, I've been saying how important it is for me to stretch, how I need to stretch. I'm starting stretching, and I've been doing this hyperbolic stretching routine, which it incorporates doing hamstring stretches, but I know with how my hamstrings are, I actually need to do more outside of that, and I haven't been. So now I'm not gonna have a choice because now I'm in crisis mode. Now my hamstring, so my right hamstring has been tight. A lot of times both of them tight. But the right, I've noticed in the past few days, multiple times, like, man, my right hamstring really tight. I did hyperbolic stretching, but I didn't do any extra hamstring stretches. And yesterday it was tight. I didn't do anything. So I'm like, all right, let me get back to it this morning. I go out on my lap, and as I start, it's a minor inconvenience. Like, I notice it, but I'm like, all right, let me just get through this and then I'll stretch. So as I went through the lap, once I got to about a half mile, it was pretty bad, to the point where now it's affecting how I'm running. Cause I already factored it in to try to like jog at a slower pace. So I kind of was just like, all right, cause my hamstring tight, let me not really push it, but just get through it. I couldn't. Maybe I shouldn't have. I did. So when I say I couldn't just maintain that pace. So now the further I go, like, the worse it's getting. You know, I'm slowing down. I'm starting to kind of limp. I'm looking injured now. So I finished the lap. And once I finished it, I'm like, all right, I'm about to start walking now, because I just jogged the first part and then start walking. But even trying to walk, it's like I'm feeling it. So I try to stretch it out at one of the bus stops, and that provided a little bit of relief. But ultimately, as I finished the lap, I'm like, man, I probably messed up, because I know I'm not going to be able to jog until I get this resolved. So how do I get it resolved? I have to do a lot of stretching. And it's like I could have just done the stretching first. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, crisis mode. If something is urgent and important, it's a crisis. Typically when something is important but it's not urgent, we neglect it until it becomes a crisis. But those are the two areas that at this point in my life, I'm really trying to focus on, identifying the things that are important first of all, and then kind of separating it to focus or prioritize the things that are urgent, and then start at least incorporating and work towards the things that I didn't necessarily feel were as urgent. But what I learned is, even if it's hard, I gotta focus on everything. Yeah, I still can do the priorities first, the things that are urgent first, but I can't neglect the things that aren't urgent until they become a crisis. And then that just kind of started me down this rabbit hole of, man, like, that's what I've done in my entire life. So I live my life a certain way until, by neglecting a lot of the important things in my life, I lost them, or I contributed to situations becoming so bad that I didn't address it until it was in crisis mode. So I literally live in crisis mode, and I'm trying to get out. So I can go into details about a lot of different things, but I think the most important thing to address is how I've created a lot of crisis mode situations in my relationships with my family. So with my kids and with their mom, at least the older ones, not the younger ones. So Sophia and Micah, I'm trying to avoid that, right? Because I learned from Lily, Alyssa, Marissa, and Aaliyah. I spent the majority of my life devoted to those people, and to an extent, I still am. But those people either have so many traumas related to our relationship and history that we don't really have a good relationship now. And I'm in crisis mode trying to repair these relationships because it's always been important, but it wasn't urgent. But the older we get, the more urgent it becomes. And I do truly want to repair those relationships, not just for us to be cool, but because I want to share the great experiences in life with these people. Holidays suck for me. My family is somewhere else. Birthdays, just anything, any special event, moment, to not have the people you care most about around to share with, or even to allow them to experience it, is rough. So the situation is like really, really on my mind. Like, I've been trying to process a lot of stuff. I think about history. I think about how I was raised. I think about how my parents were raised. I think about relationships with my siblings and people that have been in my life throughout my childhood, relationships, people that, like they say, people in your life for seasons. All of the people that at one point in time were at least very important to me, whether I was important to them or not. And I really don't have the majority of those people in my life at this point. And in reality, a lot of those people don't really matter to me that much at this point. But the ones that do, I don't want there to come a time where we don't deal with each other, where we don't talk to each other. We don't really care what's going on with each other. So I got a lot of work to do. But just like my hamstring, I know what I have to do now is what I should have done all of the time. If I was stretching, maybe I would have avoided the injury. If I was investing in the relationships, maybe they wouldn't be in crisis mode. Maybe I wouldn't have all of these things that I felt like I need to make up for. Maybe there wouldn't be all of these traumas. Maybe there wouldn't be all of these misunderstandings, because a lot of things are misunderstandings, but you can't convince a person to believe something that they feel like they don't have evidence to support. It doesn't matter what you say, it matters what you do. And now I'm at the point where it's essentially put up or shut up. So I do my best to be there for the people that I care about, but I'm also only able to do that to a certain extent because I'm also in crisis mode in these other areas. My disability, I knew I needed to address it, but I didn't get it addressed, or I didn't start addressing it until I lost it. So I got my original disability award is 80%, but I was getting 100% for unemployability. I went back to work and I reported I was going back to work, so I knew I would lose that extra income. But I didn't really think about being proactive to just, while I had unemployability, to get it to total and permanent, because I could have done that. But now I'm doing it after the fact, once I lost it, and now I've gone without it for over a year. And I was like, I need to address this. So now I'm addressing it crisis mode, because my account's been overdrawn 22 times in the last 2 months, where if I had my disability, where I actually should have it, because I ain't making shit up. It's so hard to get through the day with all the stuff that's on my mind. I think I don't don't really interact with people a lot because what people perceive as negative is just my life. So like we can be having a conversation and I can say, you know, my kids in St. Louis, whatever, like, and people feel like I'm complaining, but it's like I'm not. Or people take certain things for granted that I can't take for granted. Like I'm not in a position to do some of the things other people do. So it's like, it's just their life. And kudos, like they put themselves in position to live the way they live, to be able to do the things that they're able to do, but I'm not. So I have to deal with my situation, and my situation is crisis 24/7, 365 until I get out of it. But what I don't want to do while I'm dealing with all of these crises I already created is to allow the other situations to become crisis, right? So my relationships with my older 3 kids, with their mom, right? I have to invest so much. And again, it may take a long time, who knows, but I have to do my part. But what I also have to do is make sure in doing that, I'm also making sure I prevent that happening with Sophia and Micah. Financially, you know, I had to sacrifice, which it was a willing sacrifice. It's a choice I made to get out of a different crisis scenario, right? Financially. So I gave up my car because I felt like it was better for me to walk to work. I moved somewhere that's close to my job. But to have a car probably cost me $1,500 a month between the car, the insurance, gas, and then, you know, just having a car doing things that I wouldn't do if I didn't have a car. So it wasn't worth it. And I think about if I had that car, how much worse my situation would be now. Because if my account overdrawn without a car note, without car insurance, without having to pay for gas, then I can imagine what it would be if I did. Now, if I had a car, I would also have another way to make income. So, but I don't think that I would make more than it would cost. So anyway, that's just one situation, one scenario. Health, I've done a lot of working out. There was a time in my life I was in the gym hours, you know, 5 times a week. There was a time in my life where I used to jog every day. But now it's like, I'm just getting back to doing these things because I got so far away from where I want and need to be. And my priorities shifted because I used to think I wouldn't even be alive by the time I was 40. I don't think I don't even think it's rare coming from where I came from, because growing up, I mean, it really, when I was young, it wasn't that many old people, you know, and then I saw people dying young. So it was just like, and I was depressed, even though at the time I didn't know what depression was. I felt abandoned. I felt like the people that should care the most about me didn't. Some of them I was a burden. Some of them I was a nuisance. Some of them maybe just an inconvenience. Some of them I was a responsibility. But I don't know that I really felt wanted or loved. So that's a whole different conversation. I'm trying to stick to the subject, but again, crisis. So when I look back at the way I used to think, when I look at the outlook I used to have, when I look at the behavior I used to exhibit, I created a crisis in a lot of areas of my life. And now I live in a constant state of crisis. and it does have an impact. And a lot of times I stay isolated because I don't think people understand. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm actually a very optimistic person, but I have created a situation that is not gonna change because of optimism. It's not gonna change because of hoping and wishing and praying. Like, I got a lot of work to do, and I'm trying to do that work. And some of that work is very difficult. Some of the stuff, it's work I gotta put in, it's effort I gotta be consistent in, knowing that I won't even possibly see any benefit or result for months or years. And yeah, I just felt like that was my moment this morning to realize, stop creating new crises. Like, deal with the ones, because I know that it could have been avoided. So I got some reflecting to do about some areas I need to start investing more time in, and just how I spend my time to focus on the things that are important and not allow them to become crises, because there are a lot already in my life that I'm dealing with, but I still have to be proactive in not creating more. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. Until next time, Timeshare Clarence. Peace.